Hello, beautiful people. I hope all is well. I hope all is well. My name is Allison Wellington, certified dating and relationship coach, and I primarily work with busy professional women to teach them how to attract and keep the husbands that they deserve. Every Wednesday during the 5 p.m. hour, I promise y'all, I try my best to be here at 5 o'clock on the dot. I really do. So I like to now say during the 5 p.m. hour, I do weekly live trainings around a topic that my Patreon suggests and my Patreon votes on a weekly basis so that I am making sure that I am delivering exactly what you need to transform your love life. And with that being said, this week, the Patreon community, my Future Wives Club, and I'll have the link if you'd like to join that community, voted on soft life, strong standards. So today I am training around how to lean into your feminine energy while maintaining firm boundaries. So again, we are discussing soft life, strong standards. And as usual, I have my notes on top of my notes because if you know me, I will get distracted very easily and then go into a diatribe around something else. And I want to make sure that I am delivering exactly what I have promised. If I deliver value to you, what I would like for you to do is to make sure that you like and subscribe. If you are on my YouTube already, welcome, welcome. If you need to come over onto my YouTube, then what I need you to do is comment the word YouTube, or you could click the link in my bio, whether or not you're watching this on Facebook or you're watching this on Instagram, and you can come over to YouTube. You get the full experience, not this little square that you're probably watching right now. And whatever questions you have, you can go ahead and drop it on YouTube where we would be able to engage there. But as I mentioned before, we are discussing the Future Wives Club community voted this week. We are covering soft life, strong standards. How do we marry femininity with still maintaining our firm boundaries? And I just remembered that I forgot to put my phone on D&D, and I know somebody is going to call me during our live stream today. We have about 30 minutes together today. I do have a group that I'm meeting with, my mentors for the Partner You Deserve coaching program, and we could talk about that later on, that I am meeting with. So we have about 30 minutes together. Again, if you have any questions, please be sure to join me on YouTube. If you're watching this on Facebook or Instagram, click the link in my bio or comment the word YouTube and I will send you the link. All right, let's get into it. So there are 3 teaching points that I'm going to cover to make sure that you are keeping in your feminine energy, but you're still making crystal clear with respect what your boundaries are. There are 3 major teaching points that I'm going to cover today to make sure that you are still leaning into your feminine energy while you clearly and are able to articulate with respect what your boundaries are in the dating space. Okay. So, number 1, feminine energy is receiving, it's not over functioning. And for my busy professional women, the women who I help get into best relationships within 6 months to a year of working with me in my mentorship program, that is a big issue for you because your whole life you have been over functioning. Your whole life you were gifted and talented in elementary school, middle school, and high school. You went to the best schools. You were top of your class. You have always been an over functioning, over performing, sometimes with little effort on your part. Nonetheless, that is not how you need to function in your dating life in order for you to be successful. Actually, I need you to do the opposite. All right. So, number 1, feminine energy is receiving, it is not over functioning. Number 2, we're going to cover boundaries are not debates, they are decisions. So if I have any parents or anyone who's close to children, if you've ever been around a toddler, right? Like, this is not up for debate, or a teenager, this is not up for debate. A decision has already been made. I'm just sharing with you what that decision is. Now, the way that you speak to a toddler and the way that you speak to a teenager is not the way that you're going to speak to a suitor. I just want you to be able to wrap your mind around what we're teaching today. Feminine energy is receiving, it's not over functioning. Boundaries are not debates, they are decisions. And then number 3, your nervous system is the standard. Your nervous system is the standard. All right. So those are our 3 teaching points. Let's start with number 1. Feminine energy is receiving and it is not over functioning. So your softness, your feminine energy is not about what you do. I need you guys to accept that and understand that. And I understand that that is very different than what you're accustomed to. You are accustomed to performing. You are a performer. You are on stage. You are a teacher. You are an administrator. You are a nurse who's holding someone's hand in their final moments. You are a lawyer who's going to get somebody off scot-free. I get it, right? You are a performer. With that being said, in your romantic life, we have to kill the performance. This is not what you do. It's not what you do when you're leaning into your feminine energy, right? Instead, what we're talking about, it's how well you receive, how well you allow. So if you are a person who likes to challenge yourself, that's the challenge I want you to put for yourself, right? How well do I receive? How well do I allow? Or do I find myself trying to be the director of everything, right? Trying to be in charge of everything. And then many times these types of women, number 1, scare off the men that they want, right? Because those men don't want women who are trying to boss them around. Or you're going to attract softies that you can walk all over and then you don't respect them. Now what? Right? So again, as we are working on leaning into our feminine energy, we're not talking about makeup. We're not talking about the hair. We're not talking about the nails. We're not right? Y'all got that. And if you don't get it, you can get it very quickly. What we're talking about is a change in your behavior. What we're talking about is a change in your approach so that you can attract the type of gentleman that you say that you want and that you probably need in your life, right? And so this is, how well do I allow? Am I allowing this gentleman to show me who he is, or am I directing him to be the man that I want him to be? Am I allowing him to plan the dates? Am I giving him the space to communicate? Of course, there's reciprocity. Of course, you should be returning the calls. Of course, every once in a while you can text back. Of course, by date number 4 or so, you can say, hey, I have a great idea. I'd love to take you to, and pay for said date around date number 4. 1, 2, 3, are you allowing him to show you that he has the capacity to take that lead? Or do you feel like it's your responsibility to just take over and be Captain Save the Day? Right? That's not you leaning into your feminine energy. I don't want you to think that the way that you have functioned your whole life, which I understand, is what is going to get you success in your romantic life. It does not work like that. You have to be different. We live in a capitalistic society. If you're in the United States of America, you are in a capitalistic society. You have learned that you have to be on all of the time in order for you to be successful or to get some of the success that you desire in comparison to your male counterparts, in comparison to your white counterparts, or whatever your counterparts might be. This is different. You have to allow them the space to lead so that you see that they even have the capacity. Because then why would you want to marry and literally, I mean, literally and figuratively, in every way you can define the word marry, right? Why would you want to marry or join your life with someone who hasn't proven that they have the capacity to show up and to do and to execute and to plan? Now, let's talk about planning for a second. The plan does not have to be a 6-course meal, a 5-part date. Like, are your interests taken into consideration? Are you having fun? Right? That, so you say, hey, I'm not the outdoorsy type, and that and that he plans a midnight run for you. He knows that you love your heels. That's how you guys met. Every photo you have your heels on, and he's like, throw on your sneakers. We're going to go run 42nd Street. Right? So with that being said, you have to show up differently to allow this person to take the lead within reason of how far along your courtship is. Does that make sense? I hope that's making sense. All right. So, what does this look like? How do you level up in your feminine energy to allow men to take the lead as they should? Okay. So stop auditioning for the role. You are not here to be performative. Let me show him how well I cook. Let me show him how well I clean. Let me show him that I can change his life. I can teach him a thing or two about real estate. I can teach him a thing or two about investing. This is not the time for you to be auditioning for a role. You are showing up as your normal, authentic self. This is not the job. You are not clocking in. You are showing up as your normal, authentic self. This is not the job. You are not clocking in. This is not an interview. You're trying to see whether or not you can get hired. This ain't it, right? You are showing up as your authentic, normal self. All right. Number two, give men the space to take the lead. You are not asking, hey, when are you going to take me out on a date? This ain't that, right? If he's interested in taking you out on a date, he's going to ask. If he's interested in taking you out on the date, he's going to ask. So allow him to do that. And if he doesn't ask, he's not interested. He doesn't have the time for you, or he doesn't have the time for it. Either one doesn't matter. It just means it's an inappropriate match and we don't move forward. Okay. I don't want you to reward inconsistency. We don't do that, right? Instead, you are going to reward consistency. When he calls, you call back. When he texts, you text back, right? When he says, I'd love to take you out next week, you'll say, great, I'm so excited. I can't wait, right? So you show that you're interested. But what you're not going to do is, hey, when are you going to take me out? Hey, you said next week we were going out. Hey, we're not rewarding. We're not texting, and we're not double texting. We're not double calling, right? It went straight to voicemail, leave the voicemail. That's that. So you're not chasing people down to show up for you in a way that you desire. If they are interested, they will move forward with you, period. This is not rocket science. There is no quadratic equation that we have to solve here. Okay. So again, feminine energy is receiving. It is not over functioning. This is not a corporate takeover. This is not a patient that you have to save. This is not a client that you have to get out of the arrears. This is not a house that you have to make sure that closes because your client is homeless without it. Right? This ain't that. This is, I'm interested. I've expressed it. He's interested. He's expressed it. Let's see if his words and his actions match. If they do, he'll be asking me out on a date. He will be calling me. I will call back. I will be responsive. I will be engaging. I will show up on time. I will look glamorous. I will have something of value to share in conversation. I will lean in. I will listen. And let's see whether or not this continues. Leaning into your feminine energy. Got it? So that's bullet point number one. If you are just joining the live, this is the first time that you have seen me go live. My name is Allison Wellington, certified dating and relationship coach. I primarily work with busy professional women to teach them how to attract and keep the husbands that they deserve. I do it through my master classes. I do it through my live streams here every week. But the real work is done in my 12-month mentorship program called The Partner You Deserve. If you are in a position in your life right now where you recognize that you may have overly invested in your work, you may have overly invested in your education, that it's time for you, especially as we enter into 2026, to prioritize you, to prioritize your love life. You do want marriage. You do want children. You do want a partner to travel the world. You do want to buy a house or many houses. You do want to start a business. You do want companionship. You do want support. You want someone who is equally yoked. Now is the time to do something different to get a different result. And so I want to make sure that I have the links for you to apply to work with me in my 12-month mentorship program. It's already linked in my bio. It'll be in the caption. It'll be in the description. All right. Every Wednesday during the 5 p.m. hour, I do a training that my ladies in my Future Wives Club in my Patreon select. This week, they selected Soft Life, Strong Standards, which means how do we lean into our feminine energy, but still maintain firm boundaries. And if you're watching this on Facebook or on Instagram, please feel free to join us on YouTube. All you have to do is click the link in my bio or comment the word YouTube, DM the word YouTube if you're on Instagram or Facebook, and the link will be sent to your private messages. All right. Bullet point number one, feminine energy is receiving, not over functioning. Bullet point number two, boundaries are not debates. They are decisions. Boundaries are not debates. They are decisions. Feminine boundaries are calm, direct, and final. You know that there's this ideology. There's like a joke, or I've seen, usually it's guys who comment this and say, when a man is unattractive, ugly. When a man is ugly, it's sexual harassment. When a man is handsome, it's flirting. And there is some validity to that, right? And that doesn't make it inaccurate. It's when you are interested in someone, then you would consider that person saying remarks to you that are complimentary as flirting. And if you're not interested in someone and they continuously make comments to you after you've expressed you're not interested, yeah, it is harassment. That is a boundary that has flexibility depending on the person who's delivering it, right? If I'm interested in the guy, I will allow for you to compliment my good looks. If I'm not interested in the guy, I will not be receptive to your compliments, right? It's harassment after a couple of times and me expressing that. There's some flexibility in that boundary. What you allow people to say to you, what is considered flirting, da da da. Now, once we're already seeing each other, it's courtship, right? We're spending quality time together on the phone and in person on dates to see whether or not we are a good match. Now there's no more flexibility on, oh, well, I let him do this, but I don't let him do that. Or if he's X amount tall, then he could do these types of things. But if he's 5'10" and under, then he can't do it. And if he makes X amount of money, I let him get away with murder. But if you are allowing courtship to happen, you are on the phone, you are going out on dates, you are spending quality time to assess whether or not the person in front of you is an appropriate match, the boundaries are hard. It's not debate, right? You are only playing yourself when you allow certain people to do certain things and other people can't do other things. Either you like them or you don't. Either you are allowing them into your world or you don't. So you have to decide what's the best fit for you, right? And whatever your boundaries are, once you've decided that you like them, that's the end of that. Does that make sense? Okay. So we don't need, especially for my lawyers, I have a lot of followers who are lawyers. I'll be pissing them off. We don't need closing arguments. We are not here to lay out a case as to why a particular boundary is what it is. And we'll get into what some boundaries are, some examples, and what's reasonable and what's fair. But we're not here to gather the evidence. We're not here to lay out a case, defend why it is what it is, state what it is, and then have a closing arguments to convince you that isn't. No. Your boundary is your boundary is your boundary. We all know that that's what it needs to be. And then we're going to keep consistent with said thing so that we are having consistent results. If you have a boundary for one or a boundary for another, and you allow this person to do this and you allow this person to do that, now that's confusion in your own life. You need to establish what it is and keep it that way. Also, once you establish what that boundary is with this gentleman, and this is for life, right? But very particularly my busy professional women, my high achieving women, once you establish what that boundary is, if you go against it later on, you have now undermined your entire authority. I'm speaking specifically right now to any parents, teachers, administrators, anyone who works with children or who has children. You tell your child they have to do their homework tonight. It's Friday night. All homework must be done on Friday night. Okay. Friday night, they're BSing, they're playing games, they're not doing their work, they're on their phone, they're doing whatever the heck they want to do. It's 12 o'clock, it's midnight, Saturday. There's mommy, I'm tired. I don't feel like doing it anymore. Can I just do it tomorrow? And you say, fine. Guess what? You have now established Friday is not the deadline anymore. I could do it Saturday. And guess what? When you get somebody an inch, what do? They take a mile. Now I might push the homework to Sunday. Now I'm going to do it during homeroom, copying somebody else's homework on Monday. Now I may not do my homework anymore. Once you establish a boundary, you have to stick to it, which is why we have to be sure that whatever boundary we've established is something that is a must-have. It's not moving and grooving depending on how we feel in the moment, because once it is what it is, it's what it is. Once it is what it is, it's what it is. So we're going to stick to it. And I do see some questions coming in. Oh, hey, Terry. Terry says, yes, that makes total sense. Allison, you look beautiful. Thank you so much. We have, is it Nolana? She said, that's a great idea. Bob says, hi, Bob. How are you? Okay. And I'll take whatever questions you have after this point. So we need to stop explaining your boundaries to people. Like if you need their permission, you don't. They're not the boss of you. It's not your responsibility to explain this to anybody. Your boundary is your boundary is your boundary. Number two, we're not negotiating them. That's why we have to make sure that whatever our boundary is, we're going to stick to it. If you know, you tell your kid homework has to be done by Friday night, but you really don't care if it goes to Saturday, then don't even say homework has to be done by Friday night. What I need you to do is to say, babes, I need the homework done this weekend. Do not let me catch you at this table Monday morning while you're eating your cereal, trying to still do your homework, or it's going to be a problem. And if it is a problem, make sure that you stick to that problem. Okay. Do not undermine your own authority in life. Number three, You do not force through speeches, right? Men respond to consequences. I know that sounds very belittling. I know that sounds very childish. I know that the gentleman might not want to hear that, but they know it to be true, even if they don't admit it to us, right? You may be able to explain to a woman how something made you feel. And a woman might feel a little bit guilty about the way that it made you feel. And the guilt alone may help them to stop. You explain to a woman, this upset you, this is problematic, this is annoying, whatever feeling that you have, right? You explain to a woman and she said, I don't want to upset him. I don't want him to be sad. I don't want him to be disappointed. Let me chill, right? You explain to a man how something makes you feel. Many times they're not going to stop that behavior. Instead, you have to offer a consequence. So maybe you are not as available as you used to be. Maybe this person does not have access to you at all anymore. Maybe the things that you used to do, you're not doing anymore. You have to offer a consequence because that is how they're going to change their behavior. Men have not been socialized to be in tune with their emotions. Now, are there not men who exist who are more in tune? Sure, but that's not how they've been socialized. They've been socialized through consequences. You commit the crime, you do the time, right? So let them do the time. They're not here for speeches. It sounds like wah, 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 wah. It goes in one ear, out the other. I don't care how articulate you are. I don't care if you are the captain of the debate team. I don't care if you are the top lawyer on your firm, in your region, right? They don't respond to well thought out cases and arguments with evidence. They say that they do. They say that they're logical and reasonable. They don't. Instead, it's going to be a consequence. This is what I'm going to do differently, even if that means for days, weeks, months, forever. You need to give that consequence. This is how I'm going to be moving differently moving forward as a result of this. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't offer an explanation at first with brevity. It goes when in one ear, out the other. They say that women say 13,000 more words than men per day. I know I do. Mine is probably twice that. It goes in one ear, out the other. You may explain yourself the first time. After that, they're making an active choice. If the violation is not worth you removing yourself completely, if it is, kudos to you. Goodbye, au revoir. If it isn't, consequence. You decide what that consequence looks like. Okay. I will say this is for the dating phase. When you are in romantic relationships, when you are engaged, when you are married, this is a different playing, a different game, a different field. And you may need some professional assistance and support to teach you how to communicate more effectively, to teach both of you guys. We're talking about in the dating phase. Okay. So boundaries are not debates. They are decisions. We just covered. Stop explaining yourself as if you need permission to have the boundary that you have. We talked about do not negotiate with your non-negotiables. And then lastly, you need to enforce through action, not speeches. Enforce your boundaries through actions, through consequences, and not speeches. Okay. So I did see a question that came up. So I'm going to put this training on pause just for a moment because I want to make sure that I'm honoring what I said. If you join me on YouTube and you subscribe, I will absolutely answer your questions every Wednesday here during the 5 p.m. hour. How long after you exchange numbers should a man be asking you out on a date? Terry asks, how long after you exchange numbers should a man be asking you out on a date? That is an excellent question. Within reason, we both live in the same city. We relatively work the same hours, right? It should be less than 2 weeks. From our first phone call to us going out on a date, it should be less than 2 weeks. Why? If this person has time to date and are interested in you, they are going to carve 4 hours out of 14 days. If they cannot carve 4 hours out of 14 days, they either do not have the time to date or they do not have the desire to date you. Within reason. If you guys work opposite hours, if you are a great distance apart, if someone is going on a trip right after you've met, within reason. But if we are in the same city, working similar hours, and they have not asked you out on a physical first date within 14 days of meeting, they are either not interested in dating, they don't have the time, they don't have the true interest, or they're not interested in dating you. Okay, I hope that that's clear. So Last point, right? Again, if you're just coming in, we're talking about, I'll go back to my notes, soft life, strong standards. How do we marry femininity with firm boundaries? And we're not talking about the femininity of hair, nails, lashes, well dressed, well groomed, right? We're going in with the assumption that y'all got that on lock. My busy professional women, my doctors, my lawyers, my engineers, my pharmacists, my registered nurses, my entrepreneurs, my military vets, y'all got that. Y'all look good. That ain't the issue. You're working on your fitness, you're drinking your water, you look good. It's an issue of learning how to take off the masculine hat that we all have to wear. I'm an entrepreneur too, right? I'm the boss too. That hat that we wear for 8-10 hours a day, 5-6-7 days a week, and learning that the dynamic in a romantic situation is different. And therefore, we are not here to perform. We are not here to fix anyone. We have to allow them the space to lead, the space to plan, so that we can see whether or not they could potentially execute that if we were to be a couple and be together. We also need to make sure that we are respectfully sharing whatever our boundaries are. We're not explaining it away. We're not asking for permission. We're letting them know that these are our expectations. And if it's not an appropriate match, violation number 1, we tell them. Violation number 2, consequences. Got it? Good. Okay. So I do want to give you guys wait, let me go back to my notes for a second. I think I wanted to give you guys an example. Okay. Actually, no, I'm going to hold off on the example. Oh, you know what? I'm going to give you one. For boundaries are not debates, they're decisions, right? So you can say if someone were to ask you out on a date and it's last minute, you have a boundary, you don't do last minute, right? You don't do last minute for a couple of reasons. Number 1, I literally cannot put myself together in a way that is presentable and to my standard at the last minute. I want to go get my hair freshly done. I want to make sure that I buy some new makeup pieces. Maybe I want a new dress. I literally cannot do it. Secondly, it makes us feel as though we were a second thought, and I'm not going to be anybody's second thought. Therefore, ergo, we don't do last minute. So what's an example of a way that you can present that without you being argumentative, difficult, whatever, right? So it might sound something like, that doesn't work for me. I prefer planning ahead. What availability do you have next week? Oh, I'm sorry, that doesn't work for me. I prefer planning ahead. What availability do you have next week? So it makes it clear I don't do last minute stuff. I can say this to you with this voice, right? My Align with Allison voice, my coach hat. I'm talking to you this way. I don't do last minute. That's not how I function. You are making me feel like I am a second thought. That is not what you're going to say out loud to these people. That's what you're going to say to your coach when we work together in my 12-month mentorship. Allison, I did not like the way that made me feel. That's what you're going to say in your group chat to your girlfriends. You are not expressing it that way. There's no reason to be that combative. Instead, it's, oh, I'm sorry, that doesn't work for me. I prefer planning ahead. If you're still interested in the gentleman, you will then say, follow up with some level of interest. What is your availability next week? Then you could even be even more helpful. I'm wide open Friday and Saturday. I'm taking my mom to the airport early on Saturday, but I could definitely do dinner on Saturday or Sunday. To make it even more clear, I'm not playing this game with you without saying I'm not playing this game with you, right? And then also I'm still interested, so let's move forward. Okay, so that's just one example of a way that you can make it clear what your boundaries are without you being masculine, difficult, pushy, or the like. Okay, this is our final point. All right, Terry says, perfect, that makes sense. Thank you. Offer the consequences. I like that, and I'm using that. Done, makes sense. Thank you, boo. Okay, this is our last bullet point. So number 3, in maintaining your softness, your feminine energy, living the soft life, but still maintaining your boundaries. Your nervous system is the standard. Bullet point number 3, your nervous system is the standard. So what does that mean? Your feminine energy is in you. How much you tap into it will vary depending on your childhood, your adult experiences, what you do for work, what your daily practices are, right? But you are a woman. Therefore, you have, and actually I shouldn't say, you are a human. And therefore, all humans have some semblance of masculine and feminine energy. We'd like to think that because we are women, that we are leaning more into our feminine energy than our masculine. In some instances, you might have to turn it up. If you're in New York, if you're in Philly, right? If you in some dip, you might have to turn it up a little bit more than you would like. When you're on the train, your head's got to be on a swivel, right? And for men, the same thing. There are times that they're leaning into their feminine energy when they're nurturing their child, when they are being a caring friend, they're being a support system, right? More times out of not, they're probably leaning into their masculine. However, again, we live in a capitalistic society. If you are highly educated, if you are a boss, if you are a supervisor, if you are in charge, right? If you are responsible for anything or anybody, even as a parent, if you are a single parent, you are in charge. Therefore, you have to lean into that masculine energy, but the feminine is still in there. It's just a matter of us leaning into it more. It's just a matter of us tapping into it more, right? And so, with that being said, I need you to understand that if your body feels anxious or confused or on edge, that is data, right? We are animals. It is data. And so I don't want you to ignore it. I don't want you to override it. I want you to stop reading it the wrong way. Sometimes that anxiousness and that feeling of being on the edge, you think is attraction. You think it's chemistry. You think it's meant to be. Those butterflies sometimes are not the kind of butterflies that you think that they are, right? That the bad boy kind of, you want a sense of calm. You can be excited that you met a gentleman who seems like he matches all of your non-negotiables, but there should be a sense of calm. There should be a sense of peace because the experiences that you are having should be consistent, should be clear. And then there is no room for razzle dazzle. There is no room for you to be confused. I don't know if anybody here has ever been a performer. You ever played a sport? You ever been a dancer, a basketball player? You've ever had to perform in front of a crowd? If you're a speaker, I know I have some professional speakers here, right? Literally keynote speakers, lawyers, people who have to present to the world, right? And there's a lot that's riding on this presentation. You feel jitters, right? You are nervous. And the less prepared you are, the more nervous you're going to be. The more prepared you are, the less nervous you're going to be. When you feel like you've been consistent, I've been practicing, I've been going over my notes, I've been running the plays on the basketball court, I've been practicing the routine in my kitchen. Like when you do it over and over and over again, there's a sense of consistency. Then when it's time for you to perform, you're nowhere near as nervous. There might be a little bit of edge in you, but you're nowhere near as nervous. You know who's the most nervous? The person who hasn't prepared. The person who doesn't have their bullet points. They don't have their notes, right, for their presentation. The folks who don't know the plays for the basketball game, the person who doesn't know their spot in the dance routine, those people are the most nervous because they know they're not prepared. When you are consistent, when you are clear, when you know what you want, when you know how it's supposed to look, all that nervous energy, it diminishes. So if you are going into a dating experience and you're feeling this overly anxious emotion, then that is data telling you that perhaps there's something that's not congruent. What's the word? Help me out. Congruent. That's not congruent with what you need. Does that make sense, y'all? We are wrapping up. Okay. I need you guys to have a understanding. And I know that this is contrary to what you've been practicing for years, which is why I keep saying it over and over again. I know that you're a boss. I know that you're a leader. I know that you are the authority. I know that literally people's lives are in your hands, their livelihood, if not their literal lives, right? You're not a doctor, you're not a nurse, you're not a lawyer, but their livelihood. You are the boss, you are the supervisor, right? You are the authority. I know that it's hard for you to take off that hat after 8 to 10 hours, 5, 6, 7 days a week. But if you are single and you don't want to be, and you want to attract an equally yoked marriage-minded man, then you need to be the type of woman that he would want. That means you have to show up differently. And it starts here. Okay. If this has been valuable to you, I want you to subscribe to my YouTube. Please like, subscribe. We had about 17 people on the live stream at least at one time. So I should have just as many likes. So make sure that you like this. I need you to subscribe, right? It costs you nothing in order to be supportive that way. And that's just a good start, but that's not the end all be all. If you are like me, you are impatient. You want results and you want them now. You want to enter into 2026 with a plan, and you need a mentor who is going to hold your hand and keep you accountable through your dating experience so that next Christmas does not look like this Christmas. You are partnered, you are in love, you have your matching pajamas, you have your engagements. Have y'all been seeing all the engagements I've been posting for my clients? Stop playing with me. You deserve more. And that is going to start with my 12-month mentorship program, The Partner You Deserve. I'm going to go ahead and put the link for the application right now in the chat. It is also going to be pinned once this video is uploaded. It'll be in the description as well. And it's linked in my bio as usual. It's literally the first link. You cannot miss it. Go ahead and do something different to get a different result. Some of y'all have been following me for 6 months, a year and a half, 2 years. I had a consultation the other day from a woman who said she'd been following me for 6 years. I've been doing this business for 5.5. That's how long she'd been before the babies, right when I got married. And now she decided to do something different. I'm proud of her, but we could have had her with her married, babies, in a house by now. You got to do something different to get a different result. And I know that it may not be comfortable to ask for help in this arena, but you've asked for help in every other way. You've had an executive coach. You've had a mentor who's helped you, who's guided you, who support you, who taught you the ropes. Do it again. Click the link, apply for coaching. Okay. This is the last note we're going to have. Terry says, yes. When you're present, you get anxious, even when you're a professional. The more prepared you are, the better you feel and perform. Absolutely. All right, folks, this has been a pleasure. I hope that you do something different as we enter into 2026. Happy New Year for everyone who's watching this live. If you watch it on the replay, Happy New Year again. And I will be seeing you guys on Friday, 12 noon Eastern, for our, what have I called? I name it something new every week. I think it's called Fine Tune Fridays. I will see you on Friday for Fine Tune Fridays. And special shout out, Mookie says, hello, today is my birthday. Happy birthday. I hope I said your name right. All right, folks, have a good one. Bye.